Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. The next video in the Ask Mr. Hall of Fame series, where you guys ask whatever questions you want to ask about anything. I answer those questions, and I have a good time doing it, and that's it. So this is just kind of the next video here. Again, as a reminder, I keep saying on each video, please do not leave the questions on this video. Go to the link down below to that video and leave the questions there. That way I have them all consolidated to one video. I can keep track of what I've answered, what I haven't, because I want to make sure no matter how many questions you ask, you can ask multiple at any time. I'm going to answer every single one of those questions throughout this video, or throughout this series. So let's just kind of jump right into it. Again, we'll try to keep it around 15-16 minutes and go from there. First up here, we have Alex Vincent, who says, hey bud, love the videos, keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Alex. I appreciate that, of course. And have a few questions. Number one, favorite place to go record shopping? My absolute favorite place to go record shopping is on the road. I love road tripping, or whenever I travel, going to new stores and new places. That without question is my absolute favorite way to go record shopping. I definitely love shows as well, but the traveling in new places piece is always the most exciting thing and the thing I love the most. Even if I don't find stuff, I still love that the most. As far as like locally, I live just west of St. Louis. I'm just kind of right outside the city. But as I've said a number of times, like St. Louis has an amazing selection of record stores here in town. So, you have Riverbend Records, Billy Hurst here in the VC. I mean, you guys know Billy, know that store is absolutely amazing. Great selection of everything. You have the Music Record Shop, Mark, the guy who owns that downtown in St. Louis. Amazing guy, amazing shop, the whole nine. You have Euclid Records. They're amazing. You have Vintage Vinyl, a kind of a great landmark kind of store. You have Dead Wax Records. You have Planet Score Records. Again, amazing selection. Two of the nicest guys in the world that run that store. I was just there a few days ago, matter of fact. I mean, just kind of on and on and on. That doesn't even sum them all up. So we have a plethora of stores here, which is just absolutely fantastic. But yeah, definitely on the road is certainly traveling around is my favorite way to go record shopping. Opinions on greatest hits and comps. I think they're freaking fantastic. I mean, I love them both to death. I think greatest hits are great just because, sometimes when you listen to an artist, you want to listen to the entire studio album from front to back, the order they have the tracks in, the B tracks mixed in with the hits and all of that. But sometimes maybe you're milling around the house and cleaning or doing whatever, and you just want to hear the hits. So there's a lot of bands where I have all their studio albums and I have the greatest hits, and I would not want to get rid of either one of those. Comps are kind of the same way. I have maybe 40 compilation albums, and I would probably say, over the course of time, it can be easy to forget what's on which compilation. So I would say maybe 60% of my compilation albums, I probably don't remember the exact track listing. So it's really fun sometimes, again, if I'm just doing stuff around the house or whatever else, just need some background music, I'll go grab a random comp. I won't even look what's on it and just put it on. And it's almost kind of a little piece of excitement to see what's going to pop up next. And to me, this has been a great way to enjoy compilation albums. So yeah, I think they're both fantastic. Do you like to stream music? I literally subscribed to my first streaming service about 2 months ago, Apple Music. I have never been, Spotify, Apple, whatever. I had never done that before ever. All my music had been, I'm listening to it on hard copy. It's CD, it's vinyl, it's cassette, it's reel to reel. I mean, I go on YouTube and pull up videos and stuff like that all the time, but never had a streaming service till about 2 months ago. So yes, I do like it. I mean, it's cool and all, but it's definitely still not the priority on the way I like to listen and enjoy music. I'm definitely still very much a hard copy guy. Number 4, cheesiest artist that you dig. Well, the first one that came to mind for me, because there's a lot of cheese in my collection, especially as big as an 80s fan as I am. But I would think one of the ones that topped that list would have to be Enya. I mean, absolutely love her to death. And as I've always said, if I could choose like 5 ideal concerts I would like to go to where the artists were to perform, in the best venue that they could perform at that would be fitting for them, and they would perform as close to the studio feel of their albums and just kind of getting the absolute best they've ever done. Enya would be one person on that list that I would love to experience that way. I would love to see her live. So, you have Watermark there. I just think she's fantastic. You have Telts there. And you have a little more Enya here. I always refer to this album as Trees, is what I always call it. I shorten titles like that all the time. My absolute favorite album by her, which is A Day Without Rain. A matter of fact, on that concert thing, I would be totally happy if it was just a performance of this album in its entirety. Like, that alone would just be freaking amazing. This album is just wonderful and definitely my favorite by her. Again, a little more Enya here. And then you have Island, one of her more recent releases from 2015. And you have the Best Of. So yeah, definitely a cheesy artist that I dig a lot. And my favorite underrated artist, I would say right now, this would probably be the one that comes to mind, and you've heard me talking about them in a few videos recently, Everything But the Girl. Again, I think they're absolutely fantastic. I think her voice is just like, just smooth and silky as can be, and I really think that's kind of the piece that makes them kind of underrated to me, is just how great she delivers in the way she delivers. I love her voice to death. And just a band that I've really gotten into over the past couple of years, and as long as they've been around, since like the early 80s, and just fantastic band. So that would be my underrated artist. One more I would maybe throw in there is Jason Isbell. And I guess overall as an artist, he's not necessarily underrated. I think I'm more specifically thinking about his album Southeastern. I think that album is so underrated because just from a standpoint of like what Bruce Springsteen is so well known for, of course, is his amazing songs, but like his writing, his storytelling, and the way that Bruce could create those images and bring so much emotion and power into the stuff that he wrote, I think it's one of the things that's taken Bruce up to incredible levels. Southeastern is right there with the top of anything you can put from a Bruce Springsteen writing element. And so I think the fact that maybe Jason hasn't gotten quite that much respect for that particular album, to me, that album is very underrated for him in that regard. But let me not ramble too long, so you know how it gets. So yeah, thanks for the questions, Alex. I appreciate it. Next, we'll move on to Mozzie22. Hey Brandon, love your channel. Wondering if you're a CCR John Fogerty fan. I never thought they'd get the respect that is deserved in the discussion of greats. So again, thank you very much for that. And heck yes, I'm a CCR fan. I just picked out like one of my favorite pieces in my collection that I have by them, which is the Back to Black studio album collection, which is kind of a nice little box set that has all the studio albums. I do have a couple of their greatest hits live in Europe and a few other things. So yeah, I'm a huge CCR fan. In terms of them not getting the respect in discussions of the greats, I think CCR has the same type of problem, if you will, or same effect, maybe I should say, as like maybe Led Zeppelin had on like Led Zeppelin 4, okay, which is what I would like to call the Air effect, okay, and what the Air effect is like most of us tend to go around every single day living our lives, doing our things, and that type of, we don't think much about breathing, right? But the moment you get in some water or you're about to drown or, anything of that nature, and you lose the air, it becomes extremely noticeable. Like like just the respect for it being bigger than, or being life in general, like it becomes very noticeable, right? But it's so easy for us to take it for granted throughout the course of just our regular day. We just breathe in and breathe out, and we don't even think about it, right? So I think there's some bands, and specifically albums and songs, that kind of go down those lines. Led Zeppelin 4 is one of the most amazing classic rock, hard rock albums ever put out. From Black Dog all the way through Stairway to Heaven and everything in between. I mean, just amazing hard rock album. I don't think about listening to that album very much at all, and quite frankly, it can be almost painful sometimes to try to listen to Stairway to Heaven, which is one of the most amazing classic rock songs ever written, right? That's why we make the jokes about it, you know, Guitar Center, no Stairway to Heaven, you can't play it, and this and that. Well, I think that's kind of what it is like these albums and some of these artists and songs have been so big, and we played them out so much, and they've just been in our lives from day one, all the time, that they kind of end up becoming like the air that we don't think about. If they were gone, like, oh my gosh, we would notice that a Led Zeppelin 4 never existed. Like, we would notice that. We would notice that CCR, you know, whether it's Born on the Bayou or Down on the Corner, Proud Mary, these songs that are just gigantic, legendary songs, they're just, I think for a lot of people, they just have become like the air that we breathe, and we don't notice them and wouldn't until they were gone. So that's my kind of take, my way of kind of explaining that, my little analogy or whatever. But I think that's kind of a, I'm not gonna say a good problem to have, but it shows just how mega big and how influential a lot of these artists like that have been when you make it to air status. So that's why I think maybe CCR is not getting, you know, as far as what you're seeing in the VC in terms of respect when talking about the greats, because I mean, they are legendary. Can't get around that. Moving right down the line, where we're at the 15-minute mark, so let's jump on at least one more here. Steve Carlson, how's your musical journey been changing? What have you felt yourself drifting into musically? I find myself constantly exploring new musical landscapes. Yeah, that's a good question too, Steve, because typically I am really kind of going down some specific avenue, whether it's I'm really getting into free jazz right now and focusing on that, or world music, or, you know, just whatever. There's usually kind of a different avenue of focus. And right now, I really don't have a focus in terms of actual musically or musical genres. I'm really just in kind of this opportunistic phase where just listening and experiencing things that all you guys are talking about, that people at the shop are introducing me to, and it's just kind of like I'm keeping my ears open and just hearing what's touching me or hearing what's connecting, and just kind of going that route. So I think right now, like musically, my journey is just kind of in a opportunistic and see what comes about. I don't have a strong focus in one area of experiencing new music. Matter of fact, if anything, I would say maybe my focus overall musically, combining my music and collecting, has been like really getting into the pressings and things of that nature. So I'm even finding myself buying a lot of things and albums that I already know and have already experienced, but I'm finding specific pressings and things of that nature. But I'll have a recent finds video here in the next day or two, and you'll see there's a jazz piece that someone in the VC introduced me to, and I'll kind of share that in the video. There's a really nice old school R&B piece that someone introduced me to in the VC just a week or two ago. So that's really kind of how I've been going down my journey. We'll talk to you later, VC, and we'll talk to you soon.